All right. What is good, my former nice people? Welcome to webinar number 3. Oh, y'all don't have no idea how excited I am. I think I finally figured out this is round 3 of me trying to record this thing. And, just because I've been in IT don't mean I know that social media and streaming and all this, but I think I'm here. I think I've got it. I think I got it. And I'm going to go through these and we are going to learn together. But I'm excited to have you guys on for webinar number 3. Let me see. And I'm going to send this. But we're here. We're here. And we are starting with our webinar, Kindness and Limits. I'm just texting my wife. And so she's my she's my manager slash support through these webinars. So I'm just making sure everything is good to go. And I think I am ready and locked and loaded. But I promise you, you guys taking the time to watch this and to invest in yourself. You know who you are. If this resonated with you as soon as you saw it, you probably are part of my target group, which are those of us who are introverted, those of us that gain energy from being alone, from having private time. Just, we like to work alone. We tend to thrive in that space. If we can get out from time to time, and I believe the goal, we don't have to be an extrovert. That's not us, but we should become an ambivert. I hope I'm saying that right. But that's where we can choose to step out and to step into a lane that is beneficial for us so that we can be the best version of ourselves. And I believe it starts with kindness. And as we're going to just learn today, kindness has limits. The challenge for a lot of us introverts and those of us who struggle with saying no, you might be part of my target group. That the no gets stuck. We know we need to say it, and we know we need, and it's been long overdue, but it doesn't come out. That's the problem, and we need to correct that immediately. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be building every month. We're going to have a webinar. If you haven't already, sign up for the newsletter. Go to kindnessdefined.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Make sure that's working for you. And I want to make sure that you guys are aware and know what's going on. Yeah, see, there's the website. I need you guys to hop on and be part of what we're doing. The goal is to start a movement. The goal is to start a movement of kindness and not being nice. We need to be kind and not nice. And we're going to break down the difference today. So I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to get started. I'm excited to get started here. So 4 key points that we're going to talk about today. What are limits? What makes them important? What makes limits important? How do kindness and limits go together? And 4 ways to set kind limits in your life today. These are what we're going to break down are immediately applicable principles. I love teaching on principles, and it's important that we learn how to live by principles, especially spiritual principles. And I'm a follower of Jesus. I follow Jesus, but I want to make sure that just because you're not a follower of Jesus, if you appreciate spiritual principles, you're in the right place. Okay, because spiritual principles are universal. That's why I love them so much. They're universal. They apply to any and everyone on planet Earth. And as long as we learn how to apply them to our lives, we can benefit from them. Okay, without any long-term consequences or negativity attached to those. And we're going to talk about that too. So we're going to have these 4 things. Let's keep going here. What are limits? Let's break this down. We see them everywhere in our world today. We have fences and gates and these different things, doors, even virtual now, with passwords and, certain levels of registration that you only get access to based on what you are permitted to, right? And we see this everywhere. Our world is, we're going to talk about, what can we imagine a world without these limits in place? Private property, caution. And now the barbed wire is the challenge because we're looking at this thing And sometimes it prevents people from some, we see it in prisons where it keeps people from jumping over. And a lot of times where we see barbed wires to keep things out. Okay. So the challenge becomes that we need to make sure we know and are aware of these limits. Okay. That's why it's a problem when our no gets stuck in our throat. It gets stuck. And that's a problem because we know when other people are where they should not belong and they go where they don't belong, they call it trespassing. And we're going to talk about that. Now, what are limits? Let's break this down. Limits are self-imposed boundaries we place on ourselves and others to ensure our overall success. This is so important. Please do not go past this too soon. Without limits, there is no way we can be successful. That's the bottom line. We have to know our limits, and we have to know ourselves well enough to know our limits so that we can ensure that we keep out what needs to be kept out and allow in what needs to be allowed in to head towards our success. Man, this is important. Please do not skip past this too quickly. We must know what the limits are. And there's a very powerful book that I've read where it talks about boundaries. It's called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. I believe everybody who is 18 years and older needs to read this book. And it changed my life, and it motivated me, inspired me to write the book that I'm writing now, just about finished up now, Kindness Defined. Okay. And part of that is it taught that boundaries where we allow the good in and keep the bad out. It's simple, but it's powerful and profound, and it needs to be learned and mastered. But I believe, see, we don't attach it to being kind and nice. And I'm going to break that down. What makes limits important? We kind of hinted towards it, but let's land the plane here. Okay. This is we see them in our world today. Everywhere, those of us who are driving, we see these constantly, every single place. Imagine just your neighborhood right here, right where you live, right out your door, without speed limits. And notice, it says radar enforced because they know in this place, it looks like Florida with the palm trees, I don't know where it is. But in this place, they said, listen, not only do we need to put a sign for the speed limit, but we need to make sure people know there's radar enforced. So we are flagging your car to ensure that you are not going faster than you need to in this specific area. Again, I know our neighborhood is right by elementary school and there's kids all over the place. And again, without these posted signs, people can't be expected to know how fast you're supposed to go. Because usually if there's no sign, there's no limit, people usually go way past it. So people need limits. We as a community, as a society, need limits. Individually, we're going to get to that. We need limits. Okay? So without these, just imagine your neighborhood. Good grief. We wouldn't make it home. There'd be car wrecks every day. Our cars would be tinted up every single day. We wouldn't make it home without some kind of scrape or knock or bang up or anything, without something happening, without limits. I'm going somewhere. Now, and I did this on purpose. You can't really see them all, but these are all even more signs of what we need to limit or just on the roads. These are just road signs. You have all these different road signs, and it indicates where the good things are, the hospitals, which way is a one way, and it keeps the bad things out. This is the truck route. You don't want to be here if you're not a truck, or you're allowed to go here if you are a truck. There's how far away is certain cities. These are all signs, and usually the yellow and the black usually indicate something very important. If you don't heed and yield to these, there's problems that can occur. The question is not about why there's so many signs, but what is it preventing? That's why we need to set limits for ourselves and others. We're going somewhere. When we see a crime scene, the police are there. They're standing on the front of the crime scene. They put the tape up, the yellow tape. They cordon off that area of where a crime occurred, okay? And what they say is they don't want the general public to come in and contaminate the crime scene. They don't want it to come in and contaminate the crime scene. Why? What makes this a big deal? Why is this important? Because it's already bad enough that the crime has occurred, but now the investigators, the detectives, they come in and assess the situation. Okay? They assess the situation. How did this happen? And ideally, they take detailed notes to put in their record so that they can not only anticipate this situation from happening again, but prevent it. And then now they know how to put things in place, with their research and their all the work that they do every day to prevent and to keep these things from happening multiple times. And there's only professionals and key people or eyewitnesses that were there that are allowed to see and to go past that tape. I believe it's the same principle for us as far as limits are concerned. We need professionals to assess the damage or the trauma that we have experienced in our lives. And when we don't have that, that's when the crime scene gets contaminated by the wrong people that don't know what they're talking about, that are trying to help, being nice. Commercial. Please don't allow our friends to be our therapists and our counselors. They can encourage and support and maybe give a nugget of wisdom here and there, but some of us need to have professionals included into our lives, coaches in our lives, to help us in areas that we are weak, that we need to grow and mature in. Oh, this is so important. Please don't underestimate this. Let's keep going. How kindness and limits go together. Let's land the plane here. Kindness, this is my working definition. I love definitions. I try to look up word when I'm reading. I try to look up the word that I don't understand, get the definition, and then throw it back into the sentence or paragraph and give it an even better exploded view of what the sentence and the topic and the chapter, whatever, is talking about. Okay? That's why it's important. But so I threw mine together. Now, this may not go along with the dictionary, but I believe this working definition is helpful, and it is the direction that we need to have going forward as far as what we decide and know and recognize what true kindness is. Okay? The intentional, practically and helpful mindset. Kindness is a mindset. It's practical, it's intentional, it's helpful. But we need to have a mindset to be kind. Every day we walk out our door, some of us, as soon as we roll out of bed, we need to have this mindset. Can I be intentional? Can I be practical? And can I be helpful to myself and others? To others and myself. Whatever order you want to frame it, we can't do with one without the other. You can't give from an empty cup. If this is a water bottle here, I can't give you water if this is empty. And thank God it's not empty, because I'm about to take a sip here. But imagine me saying, here's some water, but like, oh, I don't have any. This is the principle. Be kind to yourself so you have something to give. I mean, it's so simple, but we don't get it. A lot of us don't get it. And it's become dangerous because we don't understand it, and we allow any and everything to come at us, but we don't put and give ourselves things first that we need. Oh, I'm gonna break it down. Man, I'm gonna break it down. I need y'all to stay with me. Read this definition for yourself real quick. Intentionally, intentional, practical, helpful. I should have put practical instead of practically. Helpful mindset or act. Kindness is deep, y'all. I need you to understand how deep it is. Let me break it down real quick. Kindness is so deep that we have these hormones in our bodies, in these endorphins, and they call it the love, not gene, but the love hormone, right? That the body naturally gives off our bodies can give us a natural high of endorphins, right? This is when it happens. Kindness is so powerful that not only the person who does the kind act towards someone else, something that is practical, helpful, and intentional, for someone else, they get an endorphin high, the person doing the act. The person receiving the act of kindness gets a dopamine endorphin high, and the person witnessing, or the person and or people who witness the kind act also get that natural high that the body naturally releases. That's how powerful kindness is. It literally transforms you and gives you this natural high, not this artificial high that so many of us are so desperate and hooked on. With weed smoking, what's the word? Opioids. That's a crisis now. A lot of us in this pandemic can't get enough because we've leaned on these artificial highs for so long, and then when a crisis comes, we fall even more susceptible to them, as opposed to kindness, which is its own in and of itself is natural high that will have no negative benefits, detriments to us physically, mentally, or emotionally, only has positive. That's why I feel so passionate about kindness, because it gives us a natural high. I know what it's like to be addicted and to be hooked on something you think you can never let go of. Now I'm shifting. Now I want to be, and I'm challenging us to be addicted to something that will be beneficial to not only ourselves, but to others. The intentional, practical, and helpful mindset or act, which ensures a deeply memorable and spiritual impact on ourselves and others. Kindness is spiritual. Kindness is deeply spiritual, you all. It is profoundly spiritual. And I believe a lot of folks that have had a negative experience with religion still can appreciate kindness and still want to do acts of kindness because it doesn't have all this negative stigma and all these criteria and expectations to go along with it. It's kindness for kindness' sake, and people gravitate towards it. And as a former pastor, I'm disappointed at how a lot of church members and a lot of individuals in the church tend to lift up the rules and regulations as opposed to the interaction and the connections that we can make with individuals. Because we can't get to heaven by doing only the acts anyways. Let me keep going. Now let's shift gears. We talked about what kindness was: practical, intentional, helpful. What is being nice? This is my working definition. And this is the challenge a lot of us have. This is where we get tripped up. Some of us have been living the same life over and over again. We're in 2020. You've been nice, and obviously you've drugged being nice year after year. You've drug it along with you. The goal of this webinar and moving forward with Kindness Defined is to sever that connection, to permanently delete and to cancel and to cut off being nice as it applies to ourselves and other people. That's my goal, is to eliminate that word from being used to define and describe ourselves and others, and to replace it with kindness. My definition of nice: a subtle, culturally acceptable form of manipulation. Yep, I said it. I said like that. I said what I said. Yes, I said it. It's a form of manipulation. Why? To gain, because we use it to gain acceptance, where we deliberately avoid telling the truth. We're being nice. We don't want to tell the truth. We don't want to do it because we're afraid of offending and hurting someone else's feelings. Commercial. In that same book I referenced before, Boundaries by Henry Cloud, every 18-year-old and above needs to read that book. It says in there that changed my life. I am not responsible for other people's feelings. I'm not responsible. How I share, how I speak my truth, my tone and manner, instead of fussing and cussing, but we say no with a smile. That's the goal. It's to be able to say no with a smile and have no hurt feelings about it, not worried about their feelings, because we said it in a tone and manner in which will be received by all. Now, if they choose to get offended by it, that's on them. Please, please, Please hear me on this. That's why I want to be a coach. I am stepping into the lane of your kindness coach. And I'm going to set up some free sessions. Anybody who wants to have a phone call with me, you have a situation and you're not sure, and you know you're being too nice, but you need someone to help process and work it through. Brothers, fellas, whoever, I need you to call me. And I'm going to set up some appointments. I'm going to put it in my link tree. Follow me on Instagram at kindness to find. I got to add it to my link tree so that when you click on the link, it'll be options in there. Set up a free consult, a free coaching call. Because this, some of us, we need to make the shift. 2020 has already been hard enough, and it exposed a lot of the issues in us. 2020 was the most polarizing year that we've ever, the pandemic has exposed our weak areas for our whole country, some of our states. You know, all of a sudden, I honestly didn't realize how many those that really are okay with what happened with George Floyd. They're really fine with it. Oh, it's his fault. He resisted. Yeah, they're there in big numbers, by the way. So we can't think that this thing is going away, but we can't worry about them. We need to choose to be kind and not nice. It might sound like it's not important, but I'm telling you it is, because we deliberately avoid telling the truth to ensure shallow interactions. We keep everybody at arm's length. We keep no, we don't want to be intimate. We don't want to open up. We don't want to be compassionate. We want to hold it in. Again, we're holding on to some trauma, somebody else that looks like you did it. So that means you're going to, how are we going to live like that? There's no way to control what a whole race or generation of people are going to do based on what one person does. You can't do that. And it's dangerous, and it's not helpful. At minimal, it's not helpful to paint everybody with this big brush of telling them that they are responsible for what that other person did. That it just doesn't even make sense. But again, when we're being nice, deliberately avoid telling the truth. See, we hold it in. A lot of us introverts, we hold it in how we really feel. We really got a lot of pride. I'm gonna step on your toes. That's me. That's what I do. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to exhort. That means to spur into action, to give you that little kick that the jockey gives the horse on his backside. With those spikes, there's a reason why those little spikes are on that little wheel on the back of his heels, to get that horse to go. And I'm not calling y'all horses, but my job is to exhort us spiritually, emotionally, physically, to get going, to stop being so nice. Why? Because we are avoiding speaking our truths, what makes, and the problem with being nice at the end here says, which makes little or no impact on the lives of others and our own. So you remember someone who's kind. Some of us can go back to kindergarten and remember an individual, a teacher, a friend, whoever it was that was kind to us when we walked in. We didn't know anybody. They said, sit next to me, share my lunch, whatever it is. You remember. It makes a deeply profound and spiritual impact. It's so deep, it's spiritual. But being nice is forgettable. It's not memorable. Being nice has no positive impact on people's lives. It doesn't. That's what the goal of my whole book is, to expose this lie, this culturally acceptable form of manipulation, to expose it to all so that we can make the shift from being nice to being kind. Let me keep going. Our character is revealed in how we treat ourselves as well as others. See, somebody with good character doesn't only treat other people with kindness. Please hear this, y'all. If those of us who want to be known and want people to look at us as someone with strong character, we need to make sure that we are treating ourselves kindly. How? With limits. What kind of limits? Being clear. The Bible says stuff like, and those of y'all that don't believe in the Bible, that's all good. But hopefully if you're here, you appreciate spiritual principles. And what I teach, the Bible to me is me personally is full of spiritual principles, and I wish more people would teach it as such. But the spiritual principle is that Jesus said to let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. to be clear, if what I say here is, if we are not clear, we are not being kind. Stop this. Stop assuming your husband knows what you're talking about, ladies. Please stop. And husbands, we put our foot in our mouth so much, but we need, again, see, it's time to make the shift. It's time to make the shift, to be clear and to be kind, to watch our tone. Husbands, tone matters. Everybody got, character matters, like I talked about. Tone matters. I'll get that for the husbands. Please don't fall off that cliff too many more times. We are to be clear because we want to be kind. Where do we need limits in our lives today? See, we need to put limits in place, allowing the good in and keeping the bad out. We need to keep the bad out by canceling the avenues of negativity that can come into our minds, into our lives, into our minds and our hearts, into our eyes, into our ears. We need to limit it. Some of us are constantly in one of these, we navigate between one of these three images here. We're this pandemic, again, has exposed a lot that's been in us. And we some of us can't take it. I believe those who I'm talking to that are watching this is because you're being too nice. And all of a sudden you go home, see, you'll smile in front of everybody and say, yes, no problem. I'll do it. I can, I'm able. But you wish you had ate those words. You wish you had said, no, I'm not available. No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I've helped you too much. You keep getting into the same problem, and I keep bailing you out, spending money and time and resources that I don't have. I'm taking away from my family because I keep saying yes to you, and all you come with negativity. All you come with is a problem. You never come with solutions. These are the individuals we need to say no to. Yep. And again, some of us need to turn the news off. I'm so glad that the election cycle of all this news and all that stuff is off. I mean, just on both sides, red and blue, it's been overly critical and harsh and just literally demonizing the other side for their stance and their beliefs and opinions, et cetera, et cetera. See, it's one thing to disagree. And what my old pastor taught me is one thing to disagree, but it's a whole nother thing to be disagreeable. Where it doesn't matter what they say. Come on, see, this is where we see when we get to this place where we're constantly negative and we're constantly allowing these things, all we see in others is negative. And then we start demonizing them because we've idolized ourselves in our stance. So we demonize everybody else. We idolize, then we demonize. We point our finger down at our noses at them. Look at them. Look at how they look. Look at what they believe. They're not, they deserve it. Or whatever. Both sides. And some of us on either side, we need to stop with the negativity. Come with a solution or shut up about it. That's what my problem is. A lot of, especially with these doomsday sayers and all this stuff. Oh, okay, let's say it's true. Okay, well, how are you gonna help us? How? What's the solution? What's the plan? And some of us that just want to give advice, we just so quick to give advice. Oh, you should stop doing this. You should stop doing that. You're wrong for this. Okay, well, help me. What's the solution? Can you support me as I make this transition? You're right. Let's say you are right. But are you part of the solution or instead exacerbating the problem with negativity? We need to eliminate those folk from our lives. Put a limit on them. When you see them call, don't answer, don't pick it up. Don't do it. Send them to voicemail. Turn off the notifications when they call. Yeah, y'all know. So a lot of us introverts are real smart. We know these things. You know what to do. Okay. What else do we need to put limits on our time? See, we say yes, and we're so nice because we don't have a schedule. We don't have a schedule. Our time is willing and we can do whatever, but we really don't. We really don't have a willy-nilly schedule. We really have things we're responsible for. We're being irresponsible by not having a limit on our time, not having an organized calendar, so that when we say no, we can say it with confidence and with integrity because we've looked at our schedule and our planner to say, no, I can't help you here, but maybe in 2 weeks I have time. Then that person says, oh, perfect, put me down. But if they wait until the last minute, they'll fall in line eventually. If they need you, they're going to get on your schedule as opposed to you having to move things around. Now, commercial, maybe you have a good and healthy and high emotional bank account with that individual because they helped you before. Then it's your choice to move your schedule around to make it work. That's okay. That's not a problem. But you know who I'm talking about. You know that last missed person. They probably on your last your last 10, somebody on your last 10 calls. One of them is that person that waits till the last minute. They're asking for you, bail me out. But because your time is not organized, you feel like you always have to. But at least if I'm talking about your time is so organized that if you want to sit down and watch The Mandalorian on Disney Plus and you already blocked it off and they call right before then, I'm not available. They don't know you're watching Mandalorian. But you put it on your schedule, they don't know. It's none of their business what's on your schedule. That'll teach them. Let life teach them instead of you having to bail them out. But when you bail them out, you're really becoming a crutch. They don't learn and grow. You're the crutch. We need to put a limit on our time. And if you do help them, I got 30 minutes on the phone. Instead of staying up all night, and when the conversation's over, you're on the phone for hours, and they still negative, they still harboring the bitterness and the issue instead of working towards a solution. Goodbye. Now again, see, we need to put these limits in place so we're not slamming the phone out and cracking our screen to hang up on them. We so mad and frustrated. We need to avoid the frustration and the boil over by putting limits in place so we can say no with a smile. We can do that. Some of us have never thought it's possible, but I promise you it is. And there's joy. It's so much better in life on the other side of this thing. Once we finally put it in place, oh man, I'm telling you it is. So let me keep going. Many of us have no idea what a Sabbath is. My wife and I, we choose to keep the Sabbath. We take off Saturdays from Friday, Sunday, We say we're not working. We turn off emails. We anything work related, we get put on pause, and we spend time together. We spend time in worship and with like-minded believers. We pray together. We encourage one another. We read the Word. We spend time in the Bible, and then we reach out and connect and reconnect with individuals and family and friends, etc., who we weren't able to based on the long work week. That's what the Sabbath is all about, to refresh. Even if God himself said he needs to take a break after creation and he's instituted the Sabbath, which was from the beginning and I believe is still applicable, what do we think we could do when we got our phones constantly on, all the alerts coming through, and we don't take a day off? What's going to end up happening to us? Again, imagine life without these limits in place. I can't imagine a life without a Sabbath, without taking my Sabbath. I can't imagine it. Again, we need to put these limits in place by allowing the good in and keeping the bad out. When was the last time you took a Sabbath? I mean a real one, like where people know if I call Ase on Saturday, it's going straight to voicemail. I got on Do Not Disturb. I'm going to talk about that later. Our money, putting the limit on our money. Look at this brother right here. Look at this brother right here. Look, some of us have no limits on our money, and looking at the budget at the end of the month, we can't believe how much money we spent out eating. We can't believe it. Look at that brother's face. He is stressed. We have I'm talking about, again, the pandemic has sadly snatched a lot of our source of income, our jobs, snatched it from us. And now we really got to be really critical. But what if we put limits on our money, and we had 3 to 6 months of bills, money for bills saved up, 3 to 6 months. Imagine if we had that while we're working to recoup or find a new source of income. Imagine if you had that cushion. Imagine if your family or your wife and your kids and your aunties or uncles or cousins, whoever, who you're taking care of. Imagine if everybody knew that was in place while you try to make shift and change gears and to choose a new lane to find a new source of income. This is why we need limits, to give ourselves peace of mind, especially with money. I can't think of anything more stressful than not to have enough money, to wonder, are they going to cut me off this week? Can I fill the fridge with groceries this week? We need to see, again, a spiritual principle. He who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. We need to be diligent and put limits on our money. Give every dollar a name, like Dave Ramsey teaches. Give every dollar a name, so that at every day, every paycheck, you know exactly where every dollar is going. Savings, tithe and offering. These are the things. Again, it's spiritual principles. When we do and honor the spiritual principles, when we honor God, God honors us, especially with our money. Okay? We have to put limits on our money. Social media. I've experienced, and some of you all have experienced some of the ugly of social media right up in your face. I mean, the ugly, the vitriol and the venom that comes out in some of these social media groups, on Twitter, on some of these Facebook groups. It's evil incarnate. I'm talking about evil. The choice words that fly and the animosity that comes out is ridiculous. We need to put a limit, and we need to maybe leave some of those groups. I'm going to talk about that too. So why are you allowing that negativity into your life, into your stream? This is your social media. But see, we go overboard. We got all these apps, all of them. What's that on there? Even TikTok's on the new stuff. Some of these know out of Twitch. All these things. In our phone, we could barely keep our phone charged. We could barely keep it charged. All these notifications coming through. Constant. I mean, by the time noon comes, we on 20%. Turn some of them notifications off. But it's, again, see, we're looking for that artificial high. They know what they're doing with these alerts. They know. I remember I had the BlackBerry, and I remember reading an article about how that little red light and that little vibration, that little alert that you get, it's like a micro endorphin rush. It knows. These folk know what they're doing with these notifications. They know to keep us addicted to our phones and our social media. They know. But I'm hoping that through 2020, we've learned that we have to put a limit on these things, especially social media, for our wellness, for our self-care. Some of us are literally killing ourselves emotionally by allowing such negativity. And commercial, why are we following our ex on social media? Why are you doing that? Why? And you see them all bundled up with somebody else, and your heart just broke every time you swipe and you look it through your stream. Something else, they just, and we just reliving it over and over. Unfollow them today, right now. Stop listening. Grab your phone and unfollow them. Please listen to me. Please don't do it to yourself. Not only do you need to unfollow, but maybe there's some people you need to block. Maybe that ex, they trying to get up with you. Block them. See, oh, that's too harsh. I want to be nice. What has nice gotten you? Where has it gotten you? See, being kind. See, and I'm going to talk about this more in February. I got a relationship webinar that's going to be fire. It's called the Friend Relationship Flaw. We could just be friends lie. It's a lie. And I'm going to break all that down. I'm going to expose it. I'm tired of, this is, again, it's subtle. I just want to be nice. We could just be friends to ease the breakup. No, separate. Give your heart time to heal. Let me keep going. Y'all be there for February. It's coming. We need to eliminate self negative speech. And I love this example. I need y'all to hear this example. because this example is really profound. That many of us have, have a playlist, and there's a button here that lets you either play the entire list over and over, or you can play one song over and over again. I believe a lot of us have a negative speech that's on repeat in our own minds. Anytime we want to make a good decision, something positive, something helpful, go back to school, maybe start a relationship, start a business, write a book, record a new album, whatever. In our minds, and I call it it's a stuck playlist. Why do you think you could do that? Who are you to write a book? You've never written a book before. Nobody knows you as an author. This will never work. Oh, this will be just like before. All these negative things. You know what they are? You hear them? It's time to remove that negative playlist and replace it with something positive. And that's, again, why we need some of the YouTube channels we subscribe to, some of the Facebook groups we're in. We need to leave them alone because it's not helpful, because it's exacerbating the problem, and it's giving a louder voice to the negativity that's stuck in our own mind. The stuck playlist of negative thoughts and opinions about ourselves is stuck in here. It's time, moving forward into 2020, to be kind to yourself and not to allow that negative playlist to repeat itself over and over in our mind. Replace it. Counter it. We don't have to just let our thoughts just go and we just follow them wherever they go. No, challenge our thoughts. Is it true? Is it honest? Is it just? Is it pure? Again, spiritual principles. Think on these things. Let me keep going. Let me wrap up here. 4 ways to set kind limits moving forward. Identify your goals. And I did a Instagram reel earlier today. The reason why a lot of us are nice and always saying yes to everybody else is because we don't know our goals. We don't know what we want to accomplish. We don't have a plan. We think we're support for everybody. That's not true. Now, there may be a season where we are supportive, but we are not lifelong support. No, we are not. We are leaders in a specific lane. That's why we're alive now. Why are we here in this pandemic? Why are we still around? It's because we are a solution to a problem in today's world. That's why you're here. Only you can do it. I need y'all to understand this. Please understand this. So we have to identify our goals. We have to identify our dreams. We have to give it a name so that we can make plans and things towards it. Because as we organize ourselves and get to and plan and map out life for us individually, we're in a better position to do exponentially more for others. As opposed to being nice and helping everybody else get to their goals and dreams, and then we look up 20 years later, we don't have anything to account for. We don't. This is the trap. It's the nice trap. It's a trap. And if it's not mutual, we shouldn't be supporting them long term. I know it hurts. I know it hurts to hear it. I get it. But it's time to make the shift. It's time to make the shift. It's time to make the shift from being nice to being kind. Kindness says, I'll help you for this time frame, but not past it. Because I'm focused on my life and my goals and my dreams. And once I get there, then I can turn around and do exponentially more, because the resources will be in, my finances will be up, I'll be in a better relationship space because I've invested the time in myself so I can do more for others. See, we think it's selfish. A lot of us that grew up in the Christian church think it's being selfish by even saying these words. We feel uncomfortable. I've been there. No, but now I'm making a shift, and I want to create a safe environment. And if you haven't heard already, join my Facebook group, Kindness Speaks. Kindness Speaks. Again, the no doesn't get stuck anymore. We speak our truth with a smile, not with bitterness, not with animosity, but with a smile. I want to create that safe environment so we can share honestly and open and with no judgment, none whatsoever. If that's you, and if you choose to to cause all kind of drama, I'm just going to kindly ask you to, or just not kindly, but I'm going to ask you to leave, but it will be with kindness. No issue. I'm not mad at you, but this is not what we do here. We got to get organized. That's part number 2. So we have to identify the goal, then we need to get organized towards it so that we can turn. See, this is the goal. See, our goals there's a lot of moving parts, but we need to first, and once we know our goals, the elimination part, see, this is the kind part says, I need to be kind to myself and eliminate those that are not helpful towards helping me get to those goals that I've written out and planned out and prayed about. It's time to eliminate them. It's time to unfollow. At minimal, mute. I'm going to talk about it. Friends are, the majority of our friends are in our lives for a season. And we need to, and again, they're not helping us get towards our goals. That's how we need to be able to say, we say no with a smile, because we're heading this direction. And if anybody else is not heading this direction, I got to let you go. See, the problem is that we think we're responsible for other people's feelings. So we feel like we got to keep everybody around. But once we identify and own the principle and the truth that I am not responsible for how other people feel. So if they feel a certain kind of way that I unfriended them and not following them, that's for them to process to deal with, not for me. Okay. Then this is deep. So automate, maybe, put on your email vacation alert. Hey, this is the time frame I'll be available. If not, I'll hit you on the next day or when I'm back in the office, whatever it is. You can communicate. That's the automation, is when you put things in place, give people the heads up. That's the kind of automation where you give them a heads up. So usually they would be dependent on you, but you made the shift. Now they need to depend on someone else or themselves to get things done. You've communicated. That's kind. Again, being clear. I'm no longer available. Oh, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I'm heading this way now. If you care to even explain it, we don't owe anybody an explanation. But based on that emotional bank account that you have with the individual, if it's high, then if you choose to, you can choose to explain and break it down. Listen, this is where I'm heading. This is why I have to say no. But you don't owe them that. That's the key. We don't owe them anything. We don't owe someone else anything. We owe ourselves and to invest in ourselves so we can do more for others. Then we delegate, i.e. get a coach. Oprah Winfrey, 7 coaches. See, we don't have a problem with these rich and successful people having coaches, but we cringe at the idea of it putting money towards getting a coach for ourselves. Why? Why did we do that? Where did that come from? Who told us that? Maybe the unsuccessful people told us that by their lifestyle and their actions, and they're being irresponsible with their money. That's so y'all. See, then the goals get from complex to simple. That coach, Oprah Winfrey, 7 coaches. LeBron James, 13 coaches. I mean, who? Everybody successful has coaches. They don't try to do everything. Why do we try to do everything? Introversion, pride. I'm calling us out. Then our goals go from complex to simple. That coach might give us one thing, that one little adjustment, that one little tweak, that one little tuning of the radio, of the signal, of the direction, that little tip, that little technique. Like somebody told me, like my chiropractor told me, get a vibrating foam roller. Changed my life. Changed it. Just like that. Use your FSA, boom. Get it. It was expensive now, but again, see, the little tweaks, you don't have to spend your cash. You can use your FSA to invest in yourself and your health. I haven't had a cramp in the middle of the night for 10 years now. Oh, how long have I had that? Not 10 years. That's too long. At least 3 or 4 years, at least. But see, I didn't know. I didn't even know foam rolling was that important. So how are you going to stay in shape and push yourself to consistently show up if you're sore? We got to delegate these things and allow the coach to give us the guidance. Instead of trying to think and process and spend year, 2 years, 5 years, figured it out, let a coach come in, invest in yourself, pay that coach. Then you take 3 months and boom, you have they have equipped you. So now you don't have to spend those time and resources. You've invested in yourself. Now you've learned what you need to do. And all of a sudden you're growing exponentially. The finances and income exponentially grow because you've invested in yourself first. Let me keep going. Last one. We talked about this. Demolish your social media apps. Delete them. Some of us need to delete them from our phone. Delete them. Even just for a season, for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. While you're focused on something, delete it. If you're not cable and you know it's a struggle and you know you're going to want to look, delete it from your phone. Okay? Friends, again, unfollow, mute, followers, etc. See, this is the goal here. Let it go. Some things we got to let go. Making the shift to 2021, there's things we need to leave in 2020. Identify them. Give them a name. You're no longer coming with me. Nice, you're not coming with me anymore. You're not coming into the new year with me. No, you're staying right here. That's why I did this webinar now, to help give us the motivation, to push us, to encourage us, to spur us, to identify what and who needs to be let go of. Cut off with kindness, with clarity, but cut off nonetheless to get us that much closer and more efficiently and more with more energy and direction to accomplish the goals. See how it goes back to the goals? But see, if you have none, we don't see why. Why do I have to let it go? There's no why. We need to change the channel. We need to turn it off, unsubscribe, unfollow, mute, walk away. Then we can breathe. And we can breathe in knowing that I've said no so I can. Oh, and one more little quick commercial. Do not disturb. Every phone and device has it. When you're focused, when you have broken down your goals into small, manageable, bite-sized parts that you could accomplish each and every day to get to where you're going, again, with the planning and the organization, put it on do not disturb. And whoever it is, if it's that important, there's a way to say, okay, if it's an emergency, and see, this is where you put limits on everybody that wants to call you 24/7 just to say what's up. No, it's okay. Oh, you didn't call. What's wrong? No, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. You didn't answer my call. Yeah, I didn't answer. See the shift? Notice. Before we feel guilty. Let me keep going. This is I need y'all. Do not disturb. And the commercial principle, and the book talked about this, boundaries. When we set limits, some people will get upset. But guess what? When you set limits and they get upset, whose problem is that? It's not our problem that they get frustrated by our limits. That's their problem. Their feelings, that again, frustration, anger, that's a feeling that they are responsible for. I'm not responsible for that. See, because I've been clear and I communicated. And even if you didn't, they're going to have to find a way to do it anyways. Whatever it is that they were looking for you, wait until the last minute. That's not your issue. See why it's important to start making this shift? This is see, again, the notifications. Good grief. Turn them off, y'all. Or just allow them for certain individuals that you know are helping you get to your goals, that are encouraging you, inspiring you, motivating you. As I close, this is one of my favorite quotes that God gave me, and I wanted to share with you all. To say no, you have to have a bigger yes. That's the bottom line. When we have a bigger yes, then we can set limits. Then we can say no with a smile because we have a bigger yes to protect. God needs us to protect that bigger yes He's birthed inside of us. Who else is going to protect it if you don't say no? You don't put limits. Other people want to take care of their stuff. Only us, only we can be responsible with God's help and courage and confidence to know I'm here to be a solution to a problem in today's world. The only question is, what's the problem that I'm here to solve? I'm not here to solve everybody's problem. I'm not here to do everything. Notice the shift. But this one thing I do, this one thing, one reason I'm here. Then once I accomplish that, or at least closer to heading and accomplishing that, then I have a small window of time to be in a better space to assist other people. That's the end of the webinar today, guys. And man, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun put together, but I'm passionate about this. That's why I put this Facebook group together. We're going to make the shift. It's going into 2021. We're making the shift. We're going to create a safe environment, and we're going to talk through some of the challenges, some of the reasons, some of the conversations that are difficult, and the individual that are difficult, the situations that make it difficult for us to say no. But we're going to encourage one another. We're going to inspire one another. We're going to teach principles. We're going to lean on principles, spiritual principles, and know that we have a safe space. And we make a mistake, but we learn from the mistake. We make the necessary adjustment, and then we continue to move forward. That's what we're going to do in Kindness Speaks. It's time to get that no up out of your throat, out of your mouth, and towards those individuals so that you can protect that goal, that dream, that aspiration you have. To better be able to use, to be used by God, to be the gift, to be the solution to a problem in today's world. That's who you are. And that's the goal of what we're trying to do. So I thank you again, guys. If you haven't registered for the newsletter, Kindness Speaks, hop on to kindnessdefined.com, register, check out the podcast. I got one coming out each week. If I don't have a webinar, you got podcasts coming out each week. I do a blog. Again, the book Kindness Defined is imminent, y'all. It's imminent. Be on the lookout for that. And I'm gonna put a link in follow me on Instagram at Kindness Defined. And I'm gonna put a link in there if you want a free coaching call moving into 2020. You can set up an appointment. We'll talk. I'll talk. We'll listen. And one of my goals is to become a counselor and to become a life coach. That's what I'm working towards. But let's start now. Let's start, because some of us need this coaching to help us to be successful, to win, and to accomplish the goals and the dream that's been inside of us. We've been waking up in the middle of the night thinking about this thing, but it's time to make the shift. You all have an awesome holiday. Get some much needed rest. Turn your phone and devices off. Take a break. I'm coughing because that no almost got stuck in my throat. We need to say no and get that no out of our throat. Okay? Get it out of there. Say no. Put limits on yourself and others to help you succeed. God bless you. Be safe and stay blessed.